Welcome to the Getting Started video for NeoInvoice. I'm your presenter, Thomas Hunter, the owner and lead developer of Renowned Media. NeoInvoice is an online invoicing application which tracks the time you work on projects, the type of work you perform, and which of your employees or teammates are doing the work. We also track different projects and clients, invoice payments, and can even send automated billing reminders. NeoInvoice can even be leveraged to track employee hours for payroll purposes. Now that you have an understanding of the capabilities of NeoInvoice, let's get started. The first thing you'll need to do is browse to neoinvoice.com and click the sign up link. Fill in all the relevant information about your business and we'll let you know if a username is already taken. Keep in mind that the username, email, and password you enter are tied into your account, not for every employee's account. Now that you've created an account, use this login form at the top to log in. And we are now looking at the NeoInvoice application screen. Notice how it resembles desktop software with a menu bar and different application panels. Whenever you're using Invoice, you'll be seeing these panels, and I will now explain the purpose of each of them. The Projects and Clients panel on the left shows a hierarchy of the different projects and clients you have saved in NeoInvoice. Note that they are further classified in both active and inactive categories. This is to keep old records from getting in your way. In the toolbar of this panel, we have a button to create both a new project and a new client. The top center panel shows different information when you select different items in NeoInvoice. By default, it shows the dashboard, which is a customized set of icons depending on your user privileges. Since we are logged in under the account which created the business, we are automatically given all privileges. The toolbar has a link back to the dashboard and a link to what will likely be the most used component of NeoInvoice, the time recording screen. The bottom center panel shows more information when items are clicked. By default, it shows the NeoInvoice message of the day. Paid accounts will be able to specify their own messages and display other company information. The top right panel contains a listing of invoices and is categorized in both paid and unpaid folders. When invoices become overdue, they will automatically change in color. The toolbar for this panel has a link to browse a listing of all invoices and a button to create new invoices. The bottom right panel has a listing of teammates, also separated into active and inactive folders. The toolbar for this panel has an option to browse a listing of all teammates, along with a button to create new teammates. Now that you're familiar with the NeoInvoice application interface, let's get started with some customizations to make it work for your business. The first thing we'll want to do is add a few work types. A work type represents the type of work that your company performs for its clients, combined with an hourly fee used for calculating invoice costs. Hover over the administration option in the file menu and click Work Type Management. Notice how the top panel has a listing of your work types, and the bottom panel has an option to add new work types. Also note that we provide you with a default work type called Pro Bono. What we're going to do is add a new work type, name Web Development, and we're going to charge an hourly rate of $50. The description for this is optional. We're going to click Add Work Type, and notice how our list updates. Let's add another one. This one's going to be data entry, and it's only going to charge about half as much. And now we have 3 work types added to our company. Now we are ready to add a client. Click the Add Client button in the upper left toolbar. On this screen, we're going to need to give it a name and an email. Notice how the panel on the left updates with the new client. Now that we've got a client, let's add a project. We're also going to give it a name, a client, and a status. description is optional as well. And our left panel will be updated as well. Had we selected inactive, they would have went into the inactive folders and the panel would not have appeared to have updated, because we would need to expand the folders to see them. Now that we've created a client and a project, we can start recording time. There are 3 ways to record time. On the dashboard, there's an icon called Record Time. At any time you're looking at the application, this icon will take you to the same interface. Or we can select the option over here on the left. If we select this option, it'll automatically have the project selected, but if we select one of these other 2 ones, we'll have to manually specify the project. So here I'm going to select the project we created, one of the work types we created, specify whether or not it's billable, the date that it took place, the start and stop time, and a description of work is optional. And if you clicked the icon up here, the screen will remain active and you can add more time. Now that we have enough time segments recorded, we can go ahead and invoice our client. An invoice is a collection of recorded times for a client. You can invoice several projects at once, but you can only invoice one client at a time. Click the Add Invoice button from the Invoice panel toolbar and you'll be given a selection of active clients. From here you can select the name of the client, and you'll be given a screen with all the projects belonging to that client. You can select each one. You can select a minimum of 1 or every single project. So select the project, click Invoice. This screen lets you enter the different information for the invoice. You can give the invoice a name. By default, it's the name of the client and date. You can give it a payment due date. The amount of the invoice. Whether or not the invoice has been already paid, and if so, the date that it was paid. Whether or not to itemize the segments, and whether or not we had already sent it to the client. You can also add more details over here, which could be additional fees. If you scroll down, you'll see all the time segments entered for those projects. By default, they're all selected. Then we can click Save Invoice. Note that the invoice has not yet been sent to the client. When you are ready to send the invoice to the client, you can select the invoice over here from the list. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see an option to send invoice. Click that and it'll bring up the Send Invoice screen. Now here we can enter in a bunch of information for our email. The first option is the client email, which is taken from the client. The second option is our email, which is automatically pulled from our account. The third option is the body of the email. By default, it shows a list of all relevant information to the invoice. However, we have 2 templates provided. The first one is a reminder template, and the second one is an overdue notice. Once you get your email formatted the way you want, click Send Invoice. Now, if a client has paid you for an invoice, you want to record the payment inside of a NeoInvoice. To do this, click on the invoice from the Unpaid folder of our Invoices panel. This will bring up a window detailing the invoice. On the bottom of the screen is Record Payment option. Click that and it will take us to the Record Payment screen. And it automatically selects our invoice. From here you can enter in the payment amount, a description of the payment, and the date of the payment. Once you have enough payments added, the invoice will automatically be marked as paid. This is just a quick overview of the many features NeoInvoice has to offer. As you can see, the system is powerful enough for daily time recording and invoices purposes, and easy enough that you can get in and out quickly and spend the rest of your time on your list. Thanks for taking the time to watch this NeoInvoice overview, and I hope that you enjoy the application.